Welcome to the autosportradio.com 2021 show. We are at the Grant King Race Shops, a working museum at 8155 Crawfordsville Road. If you want to see a race car that's actually going to be running, has run a little bit, and be running next year, stop up. Or you want to see a working museum, come on by. Today's show is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, SVRA, the McGilvery's Pub and Eatery and Speedway, and VP Insurance. Is it time to have your roof inspected? You might need it replaced. Now's the time to do it. Give Ted a call. You can reach him and give you an estimate and tell you what if you need one or not. His number is 317-500-3370. That's Ted at 317-500-3370. Are you ready for your next dental appointment? You need one? Well, let me tell you, when you go someplace you will enjoy, the Indy Dental Group, Dr. Jack Miller, a 500 veteran, and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a phenomenal practice. But give them a call, make an appointment. The number is 317-846-6125. My good friend, Steve Fries, now has a computer office. It's located at 549 Fleming Street, just on Washington, just east of Lyndhurst. So if you have a problem with your computer, you can either take it into him or he'll come and visit you. So call him and check it out. His number is 317-938-7711. Is it time for insurance for your home, your car, your commercial property, or life insurance? Do what a lot of us have done and call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. Tell him what you're looking for, what you need. You'll probably find you get better coverage for less money. His number is 317-248-0070. That's VP Insurance, located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Give him a call, 317-248-0070. You ever wonder why these guys and gals love driving Indy cars? Well, it's an easy way to find out. Take a ride in a two-seater. The Indy Racing Experience has dates available, so go to their website, indyracingexperience.com, find a date that works, or you can call the office. The number is 317-243-7171 and ask for Shonda. If you are looking for or have a vintage car, you need either want to buy one or get one repaired, restored, come to the Grand King shops. They can help you out. Tell them what you need or what you're looking for, and they'll give you a hand. The number is 317-820-3595. And while you're talking to them, see if you can arrange to come and visit. You'll love this place. It's really quite an interesting place to visit. SVRA, it's a great organization, and Tony now has control of Trans Am and is building rapidly. It's getting very good. To find out what's going on, just go to svra.com and check their schedule, see where they're running. And if it's anywhere near you can get to, by all means go, or hit the magazine and subscribe to Speed Tour Magazine. Great stories, great pictures. You love it. It's a good magazine. Here we are at the Grand King Race Shop. And my guest today is a gentleman that's been involved in motorsports for quite some time and has done very well in both series. And as a matter of fact, he is the current and defending Indianapolis 500 champion with his driver, Elio Castroneves. Of course, I'm talking about Mike Shank of Shank Racing. And Mike, thanks for taking the time, because I'm sure, as you told me in an interview we did earlier, since you've crossed the finish line and took the checkered flag at Indianapolis, things have changed dramatically. But first off, how did you get into motorsports? What got your attention to get you into this direction to begin with?
Really, it was absolutely my dad. My dad worked on SCCA club cars, like Fiats and Spitfires and things like that back in the kind of late 70s, early 80s. And I used to beg and scream until he let me come to the track and work on them. And it all started there. But before that, even I always had an ear for cars and engines and anything mechanical. So I could pick out the difference between a 4-cylinder and an 8-cylinder. It's just something I was so into. It was just kind of bred into me. And so when my dad finally relented and I got old enough, he started letting me come into the shop where they worked on their cars, and I kept working on them. And when I graduated from high school, I started driving them. And I figured, my parents are very middle income folks. They couldn't afford for me to race. So I had to figure out other ways how I could drive race cars. And for me, it was preparation. So I would prepare other people's cars to race and race mine on the same weekend, kind of next to them. And we just kind of built the business from there. And mostly I was all preparing for Indianapolis 500. That was my dream, always about the Indy 500. I grew up, in Columbus, Ohio, and, even we're 3 hours away from Indy. We always used to get the Indy Star every month of May just to stay up on the latest news. This is obviously before all the internet stuff. So, and we started going, and my path was to go to IndyCar. So I did, Formula 2000, Super V, Atlantic, and just work my way up through all that. And that ultimately, there's a lot that happened in that time period, but ultimately in 97 or 98, I got to do one IRL race in Vegas. And that was it. And kind of after that, my wife and I decided that, and I was one that led this, I was done sacrificing every dime that her and I had. And we started a prep shop officially, and started building and designing and engineering race cars for other people. And there goes, Michael Shank Racing was born then.
And you've been in sports car racing for a number of years and very successful. Very successful. And you told me at one time.
Yeah. So we start. Yeah.
And
so, but it all started. It started in 2004. Actually, we had kind of been doing the Toyota Atlantic Series, trying to help young guys get to IndyCar, and 9/11 had just happened, and the economy wasn't great, and Toyota Atlantic wasn't that strong, and we didn't know what to do. So if we wanted to stay in racing, we needed to make a choice at that point. And at that point, Jim France was starting this new series called Grand Am. And my wife and I both looked at each other and agreed this is what we're going to do. And we mortgaged the house and we bought a car. Jim helped me buy a car and a DP car. And that started a whole new life for us. And off we went sports car racing, and stayed and did that, and still do it today. So we started in 04.
And you're successful at it today as you were then, but you told me that actually the sports car racing is what you got the ability, or gave you the ability then to move up to IndyCar. And in my opinion, when I saw you come up, I thought you're doing it right. You start off the 500, then 4 races, and then 6. And now you're to the point where you're a full-time car, and you not only one, but you got 2 cars coming in 22.
Yeah, we have taken, and this just comes from how we've run this team, which is extremely financially conservative. We've been, this is all my wife and I do for a living. We have nothing else. There's no trust fund. There's no other business that funds it has to survive on what it brings in. And we've been really conservative, and we've just found a time that is the best way to approach race financially or people wise. And when it's time, then go. Pick a time in the sand and mark it and go. And that's what we've done.
I had a conversation with somebody you probably know fairly well. His name is T.E. McHale. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I said, I had scheduled, I just talked to him the other day, and I said, I had you scheduled. He said, let me tell you something about him. We hooked up with him, and he was good. And he said, we had 1-year contracts for about 5 or 6 years. At the end of the year, I'd always go back to the shop and say, we got to stick with this guy. Well, why? Yeah. Because I don't want to race against him. I want him racing for us. And it worked. And I guess you and Honda had a romance for 5 or 6 or 7 years, and maybe probably still do.
Still do. TE was one of my biggest supporters there. And he always told me that same story. And I owe him a lot. And it's very kind of him to say something like that. But running a OEM program for Honda or any manufacturer is extremely high level of pressure, because all they care about is win. To be quite honest, this 2021 has been the hardest year results-wise in sports car for a variety of reasons. Almost 3 championships for them now, but we need to be better at what we're doing currently. But those guys believe in us, and they're giving us enough rope to get our stuff in order. And TE is one of the main reasons they stuck with me.
Yeah, he had nothing but good things to say about you. And I said, good, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
again, as I said, I thought the way you approached coming to IndyCar was smart. You didn't jump in over your head. You did what you knew you could do. And then as things got better, you moved along. Now you've got two cars. And between the two drivers you got 5 Indy 500 wins. That's got to really, bode well. And I got to think, as you told me after you won the 500, you got busy. It's got to be even worse now.
It's interesting. It turns out that the race is a pretty big deal to win. So we weren't I guess in some ways we weren't prepared to win the Indy 500 in some ways, and I'm just so grateful we did. And it's the gift that keeps giving. I'm also finding long after we're on a high level next year in our team, our sponsors are extremely happy. We want to return value for them. So it's really helped that a lot. And, we're not done yet. We got new stuff and cool stuff going to happen later on this year. And what our focus now is, to be honest with you, is from a people perspective, building our program stronger, because we've always kind of shoestrung it. Even when we won the 500, there was only 2 full-time people on that car for the year, 2.
Oh.
And everyone else was really good weekend warrior type guys. They're paid people, but now we need to make our program stronger, and that all starts with people.
No question about that. That's the driver gets all the credit, but there's 4 or 5 people behind him to give him the car and the confidence that he can do the job.
That's right.
You told me in our interview earlier when I talked to you that for about 140 laps or so, you were wondering what in the world is Elio doing? And all of a sudden you said it dawned on you what he was up to. And lo and behold, experience and knowledge and ability brought him across the line with another win.
Yeah, it did. And, he just was trying to understand what his car was capable of. Is it a good leader car? Is it a good suck up car? Where does that car run best at? He figured it out. And that'll change. We're safe. That same car we're going to use for him again this year. But it'll be different. The car will be a little bit different than last time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I can tell you, we're not changing a whole lot.
Well, that wouldn't be a good idea either. And bringing Simon on, I knew Simon early on before he got the IndyCar, and he was driving for Gilles de Ferran. And then Jill had a car, and I said, he's got to put you in the car. Oops,
yeah.
He's got to put you in the car, which he didn't do right away. And he said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my name. I said, yeah, what's that? I'm going to change it to Simon Indy, because I know I can compete in this series. And by golly, he was absolutely right.
Yeah. That's right. Sometimes it works that way,
He's a heck of a good guy. I mean, I've known him for quite some time. And he's really a good guy and a fun guy to talk to and be around. And he's right. He does know how to drive a car. There's no question about it. So you got to have a power pack team. Wow.
Well, I think, I do. I agree with you. I'm always a little more conservative. I've seen a lot of enthusiasm for our driver lineup, but this series is hard, like real hard. Hardest thing I've ever done. Arguably the most competitive thing in the world. If you look at just the spread from 1st to 24th, I mean, the spread is minuscule anymore time-wise. Used to be you could count on 6 or 7 guys just not being competitive. It's just not that way anymore. Almost anybody in that field with the right strategy can win a race, and nothing surprises me, right? So, now we got to figure out creative ways, new ways to get to the front and stay there, and that's the challenge.
How did you get together with your partner now, and get the two of you together? He's helped. Is he still the CEO of Sirius XM?
No, he retired this year, but he's the chairman of the board still. But he's the executive chair, I think. Anyways, he's still involved, but he's not day to day anymore. Jim Meyer and I got together in 2017 as part of Jack Harvey's program. And he's, Sirius XM sponsored Jack that first year that Jack and I were together. And we just got to know each other, him and his family and his wife and kids. And they're all just humongous IndyCar fans. They've grown up with it literally their whole life. And my wife and Jim and I all got together, and we worked on it for about a year. And Jim tells lots of stories about how we all got together, but we're two like people, and I don't let him spend all his money on racing though. He had to buy in for sure, but this business has to stand on its own. And what he brings from a networking perspective and the channels and the people he know are what are powering us today.
And it also saved you a lot of money, because Mike Shank
Absolutely.
Racing, MS Racing, went through Meyer Shank, didn't have to change your logo, and you gave him.
That's right.
You gave him the
Yeah.
beginning. You gave him first shot.
At first he thought I was really nice, but then he realized I'm cheap, and there was one way around it. So then he, but also, you don't talk a lot about this, but we also, Jim and I, decided to sell 30% of the business to Liberty Media last year. So it's Jim and I and Liberty Media. Now Liberty owned 30% of our team, and they own Formula One and among a lot of other things. And they've been a great support there also.
I was going to say, I had thought about that and I forgot it. And you're right. And they are, I believe, the owners of F1, are they not? Or were anyway.
They're 100% owners of F1. They own the Atlanta Braves, QVC, Charter Communication. I mean, they own Pandora, Sirius. They.
Well, that's a good.
So.
Well, that's a good combination between you and Jim and the sponsorship of Liberty. It's a good combination. It's obviously a winning one. How hard was it to lose Jack? Because Jack, I thought, was a good representative for you and a good driver. It's dead. Oh, no. It's just, are you here?
No, he was, got another offer. He thought that's what he did, So I'm here. I got you again.
All right. Yeah, it's a shame to see him go. I know he's got something going. I haven't seen what it is yet, but I'm sure it'll eventually pop out. So when does your testing start? When will you be in town? I think there's a test here this month sometime, I believe.
That's right. Be on track there Friday with Elio on the oval.
Well, I think you're set.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your picture is kind of dead at the moment. It doesn't move. I don't know what's happened with this. We're direct line, but
there was a hack this morning.
Anyway, it's going to be fun to see how you work out, because I'm sure that Elio and Simon will get along well. That shouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think. And you've got two winners coming on board, and the winning combination you had last year, or this year actually, will bode well when these two guys get together. And I know you'll find the right crew members to give them the car they need to win the race.
That's it. You got that right. I agree with all of that.
Well, it's interesting to watch. I have been very impressed. It's just me talking, but I'm not the only one. I tend to chat with people, and I get calls from saying, "What are they doing? Why are they doing this?" Or what? Not that I am any genius by any means, but I've thought from the beginning you've done this the right way. You didn't overstep. You came in and did what you could to give the best effort you could, and now here you are with two full-time cars. Can't do much better than that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly what we've tried to do. You got it nail on the head.
Well, we're going to be looking forward, and as you said, in fact, next year there's going to be like 28 or possibly 29 cars, so that just makes it even worse. It's more difficult. But as you have indicated, anybody from 1 to 24 or 25 or 26 on any given day with the right strategy can win.
Yep.
And the competition in this series is the closest there is in any series in the world, and I absolutely agree with you. And it's also been my contention, if you win the Formula One World Championship, that's fine, because they're all street and road courses. If you win the IndyCar series, you're on street, road, large ovals, small ovals. You got to be able to handle them all.
That's it. You got that right.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best. I certainly appreciate you taking the time, and we look to see you in February in St. Pete. See if you can take the trophy home with you starting the first of the year.
Thanks very much. Always a pleasure.
My guest has been the co-owner of Meyer Shank Racing, Mr. Mike Shank. What he has done, the way he's done it to me is very, very impressive and going about it properly. Now he's got two guys between the two drivers. They got 500 wins. So you can't do much better than that. We have other guests scheduled if Mother Nature cooperates. Until then, come and see us again. Again, thanks to Mike Shank for taking the time. Until next time, Don Kay saying, see ya.